do they call the school for? I have the job. The contract is signed, babe.
Welcome to Building Friendships. I am your host, John Sosis, and today, another one of my favorite people. Surprise, surprise. You've seen her on various networks talking sports, a lot of networks talking sports.
Yeah.
She's a comic. She hosts a Saturday show. I mean, you host other shows too, but she's hosting stand-up shows at WESTSIDE Comedy in Los Angeles. The one and only Rachel Bonnetta.
Yay, thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this.
Of course, I'm stressed.
You said you haven't done Lego in a while.
I mean,
Ever?
Yeah, like since I was a kid, I think.
Okay, that's reasonable.
So I'm just a little bit stressed out.
That's reasonable.
This seems like a big jump to go from having not done Lego since I was 5 to like this is intense, but.
Just for the record, that does say 9+. I'm just throwing that out there.
So if I don't finish it,
It's
we're
on the
in
front,
trouble. Yeah. Okay, it's fine.
So what sets are we doing today? We're going Harry Potter. I've never seen the movies or the books, but Rachel's a big fan. So
You've never?
No, I'm not into the wizard stuff. I'm not into space.
There's so much
which is
more.
crazy
because
I
more
like
to the story.
Is there?
Than wizard stuff. Yeah, love, friendship, learning, growing. Magic.
That's not for me. That's just not for me. The magic is where you kind of reeled me in.
Okay.
You're going to be doing the Quidditch trunk. It's basically a trunk that you open up, and it's a whole Quidditch match. I feel like it fell into the sports world.
Okay, I like
That's
it.
a magician's.
I used to watch
sport.
people play Quidditch in New York City.
Me too.
I don't
and
think
it was
that they were
embarrassing.
well.
We tried to play kickball, and they'd be running through with their brooms, and it's like, what? All right, game stoppage, and we're like, what do you mean? And then we see someone running with a broom in the outfield.
They told you to like get away from them?
The ref for our kickball league was like game stoppage whenever a dog or a person, and then one day I look up and there's someone riding a broom through the outfield.
I think that we should be envious of these people. They're living their true life.
Listen, let's agree to disagree on that one. We're running around with brooms.
That sounds fun.
During the pandemic, you couldn't find a broom unless you went to the park and they were running around with them. So yeah, you're going to be doing the Quidditch trunk. I'm going to be doing the mini Hogwarts set. It's 2,600 pieces. It's probably going to take me a couple of episodes.
That
but
sounds miserable, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of small pieces, and I have fat fingers, so it's going to be a problem, but we're going to get there.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's start. Let's do it. So yeah, thank you for being here.
Thank you
Let's get to the beginning.
Okay.
You're in Toronto, living your life.
Mm-hmm.
How did you get into? What did you want to do while you were growing up in Toronto?
Well, you have to understand, I'm from like such a small town. So there weren't a lot of, like we didn't even have, I loved television. I loved movies. I really wanted to be an actress. And I remember I used to watch like Disney Channel shows and I used to be like mimicking like what they were saying. And then my dad would be like, what are you doing? And I'll be like, mind your damn business. But there was no way for me to know what it was that I didn't know what that was. I just knew that I liked talking to myself in the mirror and like making faces. But we didn't even have, my school was so small, we didn't even have a drama program. So when it came time to like apply for college, I was like, okay, what's the like number one thing that I could do without having to like audition for something? Like, how can I still be on television? And broadcast journalism was, I guess, like my only option. So I went to school for news and hated every single second of it. My favorite class was improv. And my improv teacher was basically like, you shouldn't be here. You're not like these other people. So I dropped out and I went broke and had to get a job. And I started working at this bar. And it was like a sports bar, and all these soccer fans would come in every single weekend. And I was just like, what is this team? Like, who do you guys support? And they're like, Toronto FC, don't you know them?
So you weren't a sports fan in any...
I mean, I like to play sports.
Okay.
But I grew up in Canada, so all we really watched was hockey. And my dad hated the Toronto Maple Leafs, so like I would watch hockey. Like I would only watch to like boo them. So I did it. I had such a weird relationship with watching sports. I haven't put together one damn piece. This is hard.
You're getting there.
So anyways, they were like, oh yeah, Toronto FC. By the way, I got to know my regulars, and they told me that Toronto FC was doing this dream job contest, and it was to be like the Jumbotron gal. Like, who wants a t-shirt up in section 121? Like, that's who, that role was for. And all you had to do was like send in a video of why you should be this person. Why you should get this job. And so I sent in a video. I actually went back to school and asked my professors to help me shoot this. And they all did. And I sent in a video. You can still find it on YouTube, unfortunately. And I remember I got top 5, and I went in for an interview, and I still didn't know what the hell this team was. So I had the captain's name written down on my hand, and I won. I beat out over 500 actual Toronto FC fans. And
Were
I
you
was
the coolest person in the bar at that point?
Oh, I quit that job so fast. I think they were on the verge of firing me. I wasn't a very good employee, but yeah, I remember I had one last shift, and it was very fun. I was well celebrated. But yeah, so that's how I got my start in sports. It was very weird. And then, gosh, I worked for this team, and then I got an email one day from Michael Milberger, shout outs, in New York City, and he was just like, how would you like to, I've been seeing your videos, because that was when YouTube first started.
Yeah.
And so I started making all of these, it was like a full-time job. They hired the Jumbotron girl for a full-time job. $40,000 a year.
Ooh, someone was rolling in dough.
I was 20 years old. Oh my God, I was buying drinks for everyone at the bar for 2 years straight. I was so excited.
What year was this?
I don't know what year, but I was 20 years old, and I'm.
Okay, so it's when $40,000 was actually livable potentially.
For sure, yeah. Absolutely, yeah. Livable. Well, I was still stealing toilet paper from restaurants. There was an adjustment period. But anyways, they emailed me and they're like, we've been seeing your videos on YouTube. How would you like to come and live in New York City? I'd only been in New York once before, and I had a Carnegie Deli napkin on my desk, like a full knob. I just loved the big city and the bright lights so much. And I said, hell yeah. And they had to get me my visa, which was declined a couple of times. So that was really crappy, because I thought that this job was oh my God, my life is going to change. And it did. So getting your visa declined was really scary. I'm missing pants. Are there pieces that aren't out here yet? What's this?
That's a box.
Are you withholding? Are there pieces in here?
There's 4 other bags that you have to do after these.
Come on, man.
I see pants right there, so I feel like it's a you problem.
Oh, this is not going to be good for us if I'm already having trouble. Where was I? So visa ended up going through.
So at this point, I mean, you hated doing, what was it that sold you on this? Considering you hated journalism class and you weren't a big sports person, what sold you on I have to do this?
Well, I was getting to do sketches. Even back then,
okay.
I was getting to do funny stuff with Toronto FC, and I think that the reason why Major League Soccer wanted to hire me, that's who emailed me, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. When Major League Soccer said that they wanted to hire me, I was just like, well, they must want to keep on doing the same stuff that we've been doing.
Yeah.
I would hope. And so that's why I kept on going. And it was also just to get to the States. I feel like when you live in Canada, it's just a different world. It's a different... Yeah. I mean, shout outs to Canadian creators. They're making incredible things that, Dan Levy's Schitt's Creek that went absolutely bananas the last few years, Letterkenny, all of these shows, they're making really great stuff, but it's still, I think that the entertainment industry in Canada is still so far behind what we have here. So everyone wants to move here. And that was my ticket to do so. So of course I said yes. Okay,
no, that makes sense. I think I would agree, and I think a lot of Canadian talent hit their stride in success when they move here and get into the Hollywood parts. That makes a lot of sense.
Absolutely, that's the goal for a lot of people.
So you moved to New York. What did you like most about it? What did you like least?
Oh my gosh. Well, I must have been like 22 at the time, so I just like loved it. Like, bars open till 3 a.m. Let's party. Like I was just losing my absolute ever-loving mind while I was there. I was a different person back then. I don't know, just living in New York City, it's cool, it's exciting. You're young, there's like hot people everywhere. You're just like living your dream.
There's like hot people everywhere.
For the most part. I mean, I also saw a lot of people taking poops.
Yeah, that's how I feel about LA.
In the street. I saw somebody taking a poop into a grocery bag last week.
She had the decency to do it into a grocery bag because we saw someone on Sunset Boulevard with her pants down. Someone who just probably got turned down at a Starbucks. She was out partying. She wasn't homeless. I've never seen something leave a person's body like that before.
This is the city of where dreams come true.
But yeah, I get that about New York, but I also, because I'm from there, and I'm not a drinker or partier, I had a completely...
But it was the age. I'm not that young
I know,
it was just the like...
No, I know, and
excitement of life.
I never saw that part of New York personally, but I can understand why people like that, especially in the city where everything's walkable. Everybody, like your best friend lives 3 feet away.
Oh, my best friend did. My best friend lived a couple of blocks down. She had just moved from Toronto as well. So I was just like living the life, you know?
And how long were you at that job for?
I was only there for a year. I had that job for 6 months before I got a job offer from ESPN and Fox at within the same week.
Jesus.
Yeah. It was crazy. And so then I ended up finishing out. They just gave me a 1-year contract. Really believed in me.
We'll test her out.
So I actually accepted the job with ESPN. I decided to stay in New York. And I like signed my contract and had going away parties and everything was like signed, sealed, delivered. They had renewed my visa, like ESPN did. Yeah. Everything was like done and signed. And then I got an email from their HR department and they were like, hey, as like an onboarding measure, we need you to fill out all of the, like our HR package. So it's like, who's your emergency contact? Where do you live? Where did you go to school? Where did blah, 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 blah. And I truly didn't even think about it. I would admit it if I did at this point, because who the hell cares? But I put on where I went to school, I said that I graduated because it was like under a little bracket was just like, what year did you graduate? And I just put the year that I dropped out. Okay. Because it was like, who gives a shit?
Yeah, nobody cares. You're not hiring me to
Nobody cares.
teach.
You also already hired me. So like, who cares? And so then I went away to Africa because I was volunteering with children.
You seem like a terrible person.
And I got a call from my agent while I was over there in the middle of the night. And he's just like, are you sitting down? And I was just like, I'm literally like asleep. What the hell are you talking about? And he's like, so because, you know, ESPN is so like black and white by the book. I think that something had happened before because there's no way. Yeah. Anyways, they're like, they found out that you didn't actually graduate. They called your school. I'm like, what the hell are they calling the school for? I have the job. The contract is signed, babe. Like, what are we doing?
I hope you said babe.
Anyways, they were like, because you lied about where you went to school, they have to revoke the contract. They have to pull the offer. And wow. I was like, what the hell? So then I went back to Fox Sports, or my agents did, and they were like, hey, so she's actually available again. And it was so humiliating because we had to tell them what happened. And it was just so not cool. And they were basically like, well, Fox Sports was like, well, is she a liar? Like, what's her deal? Like, Did she lie about where she went to school? Like, because we can only explain, like, but they offered her the job offer, she's already got her visa, like all the da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah. To them, it's like, well, did she lie on the thing? Like, what's going on with your girl over here? So then I had to get, like, so many people that I've worked with before to talk to Fox and, like, you know, back up my character. And people are like, she's literally in Africa right now, like helping children. Like, what are you doing?
Did you have any of them write a letter for you?
The children?
Yeah, the children.
I should have. That would have been a good move.
That would have been so funny. This is a child that I just fed in Africa. He hasn't eaten in 4 weeks.
Anyways,
that's crazy.
Fox ended up taking me and paying me more than what the initial offer was.
And that goes to show you, like, that's why you're probably right about it being something else. they saw value in you beyond, oh, well, she's so-and-so educated. Like, nobody cares about that.
Yeah, honestly. But like in the world of television, like I feel like that's just such a, I mean, and ESPN's just like.
The way I look at it is like, if you had told the truth and said, well, this is the year I dropped out, I didn't graduate, but this is the school I went to.
I think it would have been totally fine.
You think so?
I think so. I don't think that they were.
You don't think they were looking
it was
for a reason to get out?
Perhaps. Oh, maybe they didn't like me after all.
No, not you. Like you're seeing all these. At least you didn't post it to social media like you're seeing now. But you see all these people saying, "We saw that girl go viral. She got fired, and they couldn't tell her why they were laying her off." And it's like there's probably plenty of situations where someone gets hired in the middle of a budget evaluation period.
Perhaps. Yeah, you might be right. Either way, they did me such a big favor. Like, thank you, ESPN, for not hiring me. Because I got to move to Los Angeles, and it was the greatest thing, and started taking classes at Groundlings, and it was the best.
Because that was still, like, that was your number one goal.
That was amazing. It's never stopped. It's never stopped.
It's amazing to me that you even though you got the job offer, so whether or not you actually worked in the role is irrelevant, but ESPN hired someone that was that won a contest to like.
What are you expecting?
Well, it's not even that. It's just like you still achieved ESPN. Like you don't get more successful in sports than that. So like they hired you outside of this dumb thing.
I will say it put me into a tailspin. That was the first time I ever went to therapy because because my character was being questioned.
Yeah. No, I get that.
Even I remember my older brother. I remember I had to like go home during this whole process, and my eldest brother, who's like, you know, my dad passed away when I was 16, so he's like kind of that for me. He like sat me down and he was just like, you need to go back and finish your credits. Like you need to go back and finish school. And I'm like, no, I don't. Like that's not, I don't want to be in like I don't want to be a journalist. Like that's a waste of money and literally everyone's time. But it was like they were asking like, well, why did you put that? And I was just like, 'cause it was like you
couldn't leave it blank.
Think about it. Like, who cares?
Yeah.
Nerds. That's what I just like wanted to call up ESPN. Like, you're a bunch of nerds if you're not going to take me over this.
That would have been the greatest thing ever.
It was truly one of the hardest things that I had gone through at that moment, and it's now one of the best things that happened to me because I don't even know where I would have been. They were like telling me, I only went there because they were, you know, full disclosure, offering me more money, and I had student debt. And I had just moved to New York City. Like I was just starting to like meet friends, and I had a boyfriend at the time.
That's the worst part. You could have shown them your debt bill. Prove to me you go here. Well, this is where they take this chunk of money out of.
Here's what I'm still paying for.
Yeah. So you moved out here. Mm-hmm. How old were you when you moved out here?
23.
Okay, so it's almost been like.
24?
It's been over 5-6 years. You're here for a minute.
Yeah.
You started doing Groundlings. Mm-hmm. Is that when the stand-up bug hit you, or was that still just an
Oh my gosh,
improv?
no. Stand-up was still so scary to me up until like literally last year.
Really?
It was. I loved Groundlings because I felt like my day job was so like put on a whack of makeup and like read a teleprompter, and you're just so, you know. And then I'd go to improv that night and I'd be like on the floor like pretending to be a dog and like barking. And it was just such a like, that's why I love clowns so much, is because I feel like it's just such a freeing art form, not only in like the world of comedy but like therapeutically too. Like I think that I needed to shed all that. There was just so much crap that I had to like get out.
Yeah.
So I loved it. It was like my form of therapy. I met some of my best friends there when I first moved to LA. It was great.
And so you were doing Groundlings, and then the last year, I mean, that was the first time I saw your name on an open mic sheet, and I was like, that's our friend's friend. That's our friend's friend. Mm-hmm. Oh, I know that name. Wait. And then I was like, oh, she's doing stand-up. Mm-hmm. So what made you finally go like, okay, I'm going to sign up for this mic?
I had been doing comedy for a little bit before I did that mic, because that's a scary mic. And it's not it's called a mic, but it's not. Like a mic insinuates that you're trying stuff out. So then when I showed up, I was assuming like, oh, you know, it's going to be like a smaller room, but it's still at the store, and like I'm just going to go like work on some stuff. But then when I got there, they're like, this isn't a mic. Like, you have to do 3 minutes and you have to bring your best stuff. And I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, you are performing in front of a paid audience. It's not just a room of comics like most mics are.
Yeah.
Those people paid to sit there, not to kiss your ass. You did crush, which is why I DM'd Sarah, and I was like, I just saw Rachel do stand-up, and she's really funny in front of a shitty crowd.
That's so nice.
And you're also doing it in front of the Comedy Store staff and door guys, which is where they pick out how you get into development, who they, like, bookers for the belly room recommend you and just say like, oh, she was really funny.
Yeah.
So they keep an eye out for you. So it's kind of a big deal, but also if you don't do great, it's not the end of the world. It's not.
I'm really
you're not
glad that I didn't know any of that stuff when I first went in.
Yeah.
Like I literally was just like hopping around and trying to find the mics that I liked the best.
Yeah.
And so I just like went in and I was like, okay, they want 3 minutes. I'll like cut down what I'm doing, and I just like tried to have the most fun with it, and I did. It was great, and also just like I just felt really proud of myself to be like, wow, I love comedians, and that is like the number one place that people. You know, it's historic. So to be able to do that in such an early stage of, you know, my stand-up career, even though it's just like, you know, I'm like, whatever you want to call it, I felt really proud of myself.
It can definitely be a big deal if the right people see you, and that's a club where the right people will see you.
Yeah, it was so much fun. And when they were like, okay, bring your best stuff. And the thing that I was working on at the time was this story about when I had to go to Russia to cover the Men's World Cup. And I ate so many hot dogs that I got gallstones.
I remember that bit because I laughed. I remember that bit specifically.
I had to get my gallbladder removed. Like an absolute goon.
Such a dork. Getting your gallbladder removed.
But I felt like that was also an interesting enough story.
What are we doing?
What? I'm moving on. I'm missing pieces. I gotta do things, but gotta do things by the book.
No, they're literally numbered, and that's literally the next step right there.
Okay, so where's my yellow flag then? Huh?
Which yellow flag?
Where's my yellow flag? I won't do it.
Are you sure that you're not supposed to put yellow on a black one, as shown right here?
It's fine. It's fine. We'll keep going.
I don't want you to make a bigger mess for yourself.
It's okay. We're gonna power through.
We're doing this as a
team. Cut that
team.
part out.
I like how you came in here like ready to race.
I'm actually doing much better than I thought I was.
I'm very impressed.
Because in the beginning, telling an intricate story while trying to do this it's like the ultimate brain scratcher.
No, you're doing really, really well.
Thank you.
So one of the things that I think you're really good at is being able to create really short form content. Like for social media.
Yeah.
What's the process for that versus stand-up? Like does an idea come to you, or do you sit down and write something out and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna shoot this?
I think I always kind of just try and write stuff down as it comes to my brain. And then if there's something that I can make into two things, like for a really long time I was watching the show Too Hot to Handle. Have you ever seen that show?
I've heard of it.
I mean, I don't want to call people out because this is going on the internet, but got a lot of dumb people on the show. And I was doing a bit on stage about how, like in the very beginning of this show, you're meeting all of these contestants, and this one guy is like, oh, yeah, my name is, I call him Brick. I don't remember what his real name was. He's like, oh, yeah, my name is Brick. I love to surf. Can't wait to find the love of my life here. But he really went in on the, I love to surf, catching waves every day. And then below, it just says lives in Arizona. It's like, I'm obsessed with these people. So that became a bit on stage, and then I also really like to do act outs. So then I put those characters on social media.
That almost got me into The Bachelor. Like, you know, on The Bachelor, when underneath what you're just talking about tells you like what the person does for a living.
Right.
Under one girl, it just said twin. I was like, oh, this is a show for people who really respect the editors.
So funny.
Yeah. So you basically just track your ideas, and as you're able to.
I mean, I think nowadays it's just all about like, I mean, it's exhausting, but it's just like, do the most at all times.
Yeah.
And I love to write, and I love development. So during the day, it's kind of like a toss-up of like, I got to remind myself, like, oh, I haven't done anything on social media for a while, so I have to go and make something there. But it's also like, I really want to be writing stand-up today. I want to focus on that. And it's just like a constant thing. So, I'm just always trying to do the frickin' most.
Do you, as someone who writes like pilots and features and stuff like that, do you ever get to the point where you're writing and in your brain you're just kind of like, this would be better as a scene in a project I'm writing than as a stand-up bit? Like, do you have to differentiate that?
No, if I have a funny idea, I think I try to use it all over the place. I try to use it, like, let's say there's multiple buckets. There's the stand-up bucket, there's like the development show, pilot, movie, writing, and then there's like the social media bucket. If something can go in all three, I will absolutely use that. Because I just feel like, you know, if you got a good idea, you better go with it.
Yeah.
But no, I don't try and, I mean, for me at least, I try to just spread it all over the place, kind of.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I think that was, when I was doing stand-up, that was a struggle of like, this makes for such a good 4-page scene instead of like a story that instead of a throwaway story in a bit.
You know what's really cool about stand-up is I have a really terrible memory, and
that's really cool.
No, but it's like, it's really made me kind of remember things that have happened in my life.
Yeah.
Because like I'll be watching so many shows, and you know I host shows now too, so I'll hear something, and as you know, like hosts go in between the stand-ups and comment on whatever it was that they were just talking about, and I'm like, oh shit, like I did this way back then, and it's so fun to like relive and then tell those stories in my sets.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I've really been enjoying that because my brain usually sucks.
Is most of your following right now from what you were doing at
In sports?
At sports, yeah. Like, I'm curious how your content now and like the stuff you're doing now is translating to that following.
I mean, I think that I have just been doing sports for so long that yes, the majority of my followers are from that world, but I also think the beautiful thing about that world is like sports and comedy do go hand in hand. Like, I feel like there's so much crossover, and there's so many comedians that have done things in the sports world. And also vice versa. Like, look how many athletes have hosted SNL.
That's true.
But yeah, I would say it's just like sports fans that enjoy, you know, I've never been analytical in my career.
Yeah.
So if they're following me, my best guess is that they think I'm a hottie. And then also they like my content, which has just always been like funny in nature.
Yeah, I was going to guess like, and maybe I'm wrong, but the stuff that, look at you.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
crushing
killing
it. The stuff that you did in the sports world allowed people to see your personality because you weren't analytic. So that's what they're there for.
Yeah, I think the interesting thing about crossing over to stand-up has been like, I think a lot of people, or at least this is kind of like how I see it, a lot of people have always thought like, oh, she's the sports girl that's funny. But I feel like that's kind of shifted to, it's like, oh, it's the funny girl and she
used to do
sports. Or at least that's what I would love for people to, to think, you know?
But you also like love acting. Like that would be a dream scenario for you.
I mean, that's always just been the number one thing that I've loved to do and tried to pursue. And that's why I've loved sketch comedy so much, is that like, you know, it's loose acting, but that's just been my way of doing that, of making it work for me and making it so that I could stay in sports for as long as I did.
And now that you've been out of it for a little bit, is there any desire to go back, or you're just good with that chapter of your life and you're like, okay, now we're on to the next thing?
Listen, I'm never gonna say never because I feel like that's dumb.
Yeah.
But I will say, I think for the longest time I was afraid to leave. I think I probably wanted to leave a lot sooner than when I did. And now that I'm out of it, it's just like imagine as a comedian, if you were only able to write jokes about one thing in a specific area. That's been my life for a really long time. And now that I think that I've had the opportunity to be like, oh wow, I can make jokes about anything, I can talk about anything, it's just been so freeing. So while I would never say never, I still love sports. I'm still a huge sports fan. I love watching football, I love watching basketball. I just don't think it's for me right now. I think that I'm really enjoying this like creative freedom, and I want to see what happens with what I'm doing now.
No, and I think that's great, because I don't mean this in a negative way. I because of your association to Sarah Tiana and what you were doing, I just assumed you were like a lifelong sports person, and that was like a dream that you got to live out. And now that I've gotten to know you as like, oh, just a funny person, it's a lot different. And when you look at someone differently like that, you're like, okay, she's actually doing exactly what.
I think people are going to see you the way that you hopefully want to be seen. And when you're only doing sports, people are going to think, well, she loves sport. Like, this is her dream job. And I've been doing that for a really long time. And now I'm telling people I have other desires and I really want to do comedy. And this is the kind of comedy I'm doing right now. And people are like, okay, like, we're with this.
Yeah. Are you someone that sets goals for like a certain period of time? Like, I'd be curious what your goals are for this year.
Oh my God, it's embarrassing.
I want to hear it all.
Man, I mean, I would just love to get more time under my belt and have, I think it would be so fun I think I've always been a performer in one way or the other, whether it's on a soundstage at NFL Network or, you know, the stages that I'm on now. I really love to perform. So I would love to build out like a 1 hour show that's maybe not even just stand up and it's characters and it's just like really me. I think that that's something that I've always wanted to do. And I feel like now I finally am like, well, this is a way that you could do that.
Yeah.
And so it's like really refreshing to be able to finally see, not, you know, I feel so silly because I did just, you know, I feel like such a baby and so many people have been doing this for so long, but it's really cool when the path starts to kind of reveal itself.
Yeah.
And you're like, you know, even if I put it up at a small theater and like 5 people came, you're still accomplishing that huge goal.
Yeah.
So.
But you also know that if you did that, more than 5 people, like you're able to
people
accomplish.
People would come see me, try to come see me fail.
Yeah. I mean,
my
absolutely.
haters.
Your haters would be there, but also the people that support you.
But yeah, that's
cool.
A huge goal of mine. That would be wonderful.
When you're doing stand-up, are you able to, and I ask this to a lot of comics, are you able to bomb and not let it ruin the rest of your day or week?
I bombed for my entire career. Like, this is not the first time that I've been bombing. No, it still sucks. It definitely does not ruin my week.
Okay,
no,
good.
No,
like
I don't really take it home. It sucks in the moment, and there will be some times where I have a joke that works so well in one room, and then I'll take it into another room, and it just like absolutely falls flat. And I'm like, I think I'm still at that point where I still have to find the confidence to be like, no, this worked before. You just have to like believe in it.
Yeah. And
sometimes just kind of trust that you had a shitty room.
But also sometimes you're like, oh, you recognize something in the crowd, and next time you get a similar crowd like that, you know to either adjust the joke or just miss it completely. But it's the good thing about stand-up is I feel like no matter how long you're doing it, there's always something to take away from a good set and a bad set.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me right now, it's just like, I am trying to build, I've been a woman working in sports for the last decade. I've got thick skin. Like, that is not necessarily something that I need to build. But at the same time, it's like, this is a different kind of thick skin that you need to acquire. And so I think just like going out and doing, I kind of love going to those tough shows. Like, I just went to a show that was just like all men. People were talking about, like, they were rapey jokes, and it was just, like, not cool.
What, at a stand-up show?
Yeah, and although I was like, wow, you guys are all trash, I'm like, it's good that, it's good to have those shows, because then you also learn where you don't want to perform.
Yeah.
And I think that, I think, and this is just my opinion. I don't necessarily think this is the only opinion, but
this is the only opinion, for the record, only opinion.
I think that when you're starting up in stand-up, people pressure you into being like, you've got to do every room, no matter how shitty it is, and you just got to do it. I get being hungry, but as a woman, there's also being safe and making sure that you're in a good place, that you like want to do comedy. And I feel like there are a bunch of rooms that I've been to that I'm like, I don't want to bring my stuff back here. I
hear certain rooms and like, I'm like, yeah, that sounds about right.
What I really don't appreciate, and especially like since I've started hosting, I kicked somebody out last week.
You what?
I kicked somebody out last week. Yeah, I did.
Okay, now you're just getting power hungry.
No, they were being rude. They called our door guy an asshole. Are we allowed to swear on the show?
We are. even though we're building Lego.
They
Lego's never
called the
sponsoring us.
doorman a fucking asshole and was pointing in his face. And I say, no, we don't do that here. I said, you need to leave. And she left.
It was a she?
It was a lady.
I am so sexist. I thought it was a dude.
It was an older lady.
An older lady?
Yeah.
Jesus.
But what I really don't like is when people go up and nobody does anything about it. I mean,
What
I
do you
know the
mean?
world's scary. Well, so it's, if somebody like goes up and says shitty things, I remember doing a show, some guy was being such a creep and he was talking about putting his dick in a blender. Not that that's offensive, it's just a bad joke.
Yeah, we
but
just need the blender to consent.
He should have maybe been like asked not to come back. He was saying other really terrible things that I won't repeat, but it just drives me nuts when no one's like, hey, you're not cool. Don't come back here.
Yeah, I think that's like a hard argument to have because, I mean, at least now everybody's playing victim in terms of like, we should be able to say whatever we want. And I'm like, to an extent, if it's an actual joke, like I will never say you can't make fun of something. I don't care what it is, but you should be penalized if you make fun of something and you're not good enough to have made that joke.
But I think that there are so many people that are like just romping around the comedy world that's like being like disgustingly racist on stage.
Yes.
And because they're not like, hey, we don't speak like this as human beings. Like we should strive to be better. They think it's okay and they're going to continue to do it.
No, I agree with that. There should be some kind of like, this is just basic humility.
Exactly.
But when it comes to like the actual content of the jokes, I'm very much like, if the audience is laughing,
Yeah.
they've done what they came here, what they were supposed to do. If the audience is not laughing and you've said something terribly offensive, racist,
You want
sexist.
more dick in a blender jokes. I get it.
I mean, that's what you should see my YouTube search. I hear about this dick in a blender joke. I really want to get on that.
I am friends with some. I just don't know how people do that. Like I'm friends
Yeah.
with some comics that are like, I just really like to see the crowd like squirm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you're sick and twisted, man. Like I don't want that. Why would you want that?
I'm not going to lie. Like that's what I used to
like
do as a stand-up. No, that's what I
sicko.
used to do as a stand-up because we were taught any reaction is a good, you want to get a laugh, but any reaction means that your content is moving people in some direction. So like I used to love that kind of humor. My jokes were not, they weren't going to get me any late night spots. But now as I've grown and matured, and this is why I don't like when people give Howard Stern shit. It's like I've grown as a human. It's just, I don't find the same things funny anymore. Like I don't think an Anne Frank joke needs to exist in a comedy set. Like, yeah, that used to be like my opening joke.
Was
My
it Anne
opening
Frank
bit
joke?
was an Anne Frank hide and seek bit, and it killed. And I just, now I look back, and so I had a Christmas party a few years ago, and they found a DVD of mine from comics, and I was in the room in my room with someone else, and they put it on my DVD player. And I walk in, and I have 7 or 8 friends in my New York apartment watching one of my sets at comics, and I was
And did they know
mortified.
your stuff, or was that the first time
No, that was
they
the
were like
first time
seeing
they
your
ever
stuff?
saw it. I'm at that point I'm corporate John. I'm still at Warner Music.
I did have my future mother and father-in-law come out to a set once.
Oh God.
And my father-in-law, Bob, is so sweet. They're both so supportive. Like, I love that they even came. That's really, really nice. And he came up to me afterwards and he goes, that was very funny. I don't want to hear any of those things again. Like, I was doing like a laser hair removal bit and like it was
so funny. That's like the best possible review. That
it was
really
really
funny.
sweet. That
You
was
killed
really
it.
funny. You were great. Please don't
Never again.
ever talk about these things around me again. Somebody was asking me like what I want out of life right now, and I was kind of like listing all of those things, and I was just like, right now I'm not asking anything of stand-up. I just really, really like it. And I don't know where it's gonna go, and I'm not giving it any expectations, but I'm gonna do it for as long as it makes me happy. And right now it's making me like it's my favorite thing to do. But
well, that's how everyone needs to look at the world. Would be so much happier if there wasn't a stigma or an issue with changing your career at X point. Like, for example, like
I'm an expert on this right now because I just did that.
Yeah, it's like there was so much at my old job, for example. It was so hard to get an interview within your own company if you wanted to move from like marketing to publicity.
Because people don't like when people make this is my theory. People people like get mad at you when you're asking for more because they're too afraid to do that.
Yes.
So they're gonna be like, screw you. I remember somebody that I used to work with sat me down once. He's like, you need to have more patience. Like, you need to be more patient. What's the hurry? I'm like, the reason why I'm here is because I have none of it. Like, because I have no patience.
What's the hurry? Do you realize we're all dying at some point?
I'm a woman. The wrinkles are coming in quick.
Yeah.
By the way, I'm 32. I just found out I have to have hip surgery.
Ultimate Fighting? Why do you need?
I have a chipped hip.
How'd you do that?
I have no idea.
It's all that athletics.
It really is because I used to play volleyball. I think it was all that.
That's not good.
I think it was all that.
I love the sound effects. Is that how you used to play?
Yeah.
Were you good?
No.
That sucks. Are you having pain? Is that how you figured it out?
Yeah, I'm having a lot of pain, and I just went and got an X-ray, and it's a chipped hip. But anyways,
Sorry,
not
bud.
to get too far away, but I think that's what it is. And so when people change careers, it makes them feel bad about themselves because they don't have the guts to do it.
Yeah.
Like oh my gosh, I got so many freaking people being like, what are you doing? Like you're leaving the world of sports for blah, 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 blah. And I was like,
There's also the unfortunate aspect of like you were still paying loans, but like, well, I'm still paying loans for accounting, so I can't do something that's going to make me happy because that's what I went to school for. And it's like, yeah, but also you're going to, the loans won't bother you as much if they're not attached to the thing you hate doing, which is accounting.
1,000%. I totally understand that there are some people in situations where they can't leave, and I am totally empathetic to that.
They can leave. My point is they can leave, but that's a big
But I
reason
think
that they
a lot
don't.
of people are just afraid to leave. And also, I mean, I was afraid to leave for a really long time too. I was in a nice cushy job. I had a very long contract and it was great. And really the main reason why I stopped doing sports is because I was bought out of my contract. And so I was like, okay, she's living large now. Might as well go and do something with it.
But you were also in a situation where you were on a visa and a lot changes if you leave your job. Like you were in another country for this job, so I feel like you were in a tougher situation than somebody who's just like, well, I can't justify leaving the job that I went to college for.
No, I legitimately would have been deported.
Yeah, that would have been a fun story.
It wasn't as easy, but then I got my green card eventually, and that gives you a lot more freedom. But it's hard. It is really hard to. I'm not saying that. It's very difficult to make that leap, and a lot of people can't. But I think that's why they resent you when you do.
Yeah. I think there's a lot of resentment towards people who are actually happy, which is crazy to me.
1,000%, because it's just those people are probably happy because they had the guts to like change what wasn't making them happy.
I mean, I will say, and we've spoken about my dislike for LA, but like, I am happy where I am career-wise. It doesn't matter where you are. Nothing is going to be perfect all the time. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy for where I am, and I'm happy enough that I'm ignoring the stuff that I'm not happy about because it's so petty.
Yes, I love that. I think that everyone could be a lot happier if they were at least working towards. You don't have to be a billionaire, being the most successful person at what you want to do. But I think as long as you are working towards something, like I used to be so jealous of so many people when I was only doing sports. I was just miserable, like would just make myself sick.
Which is crazy because people would have killed to be you. They did. 500 people killed to be you.
But that's the thing. It's like social media is just like so not real. I was saying this to someone the other day when they were like, "Yeah, but you have like all of these followers and da 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 da." And I was like, "Dude, and no one knows what's going on behind the."
Yeah.
Everyone's going through their own journey. I'm jealous of you. You're jealous of me. Like it's just so dumb. But anyways, what I was going to say is like so much of that disappeared when I started focusing on comedy and working towards my goals because I was like, at least I'm trying. At least I'm trying to get there.
Yeah, and a lot of people, I think especially in comedy, there's an entitlement problem. And I think being someone who's actually working at it and what you just said in terms of patience, like I'm asking for nothing other than stage time to get better at what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
That's the piece that a lot of people are missing. It's like they truly believe in the I did 10,000 hours, where's my TV show, where's this, where's that.
I also feel like a lot of people are like exactly what you just said. I went through the fucking trenches, and you think that you can just like pop over from sports and do this, but like they don't realize like I also have been through a lot in my life doing comedy in only sports.
One of my favorite is, well, we didn't have social media to blow ourselves up when I was coming up as a comic. Okay, but you have it now. So you're either choosing not to learn it properly, or you're just not willing to hire someone to make it work for you.
Right.
But the thing exists for everybody. Everybody who's successful on social media has the ability, everybody who has social media has the ability to be successful on social media if you put in the time and effort and the resources, and sometimes it's not cheap.
And I also think it's like, I think that the comedy world is just like more competitive than it's ever been, and so people that have been in it for a really long time just like get annoyed when people come in and have like hundreds of thousands of followers on social media, and they're like, you don't deserve to be here. Like you got this overnight, when really they're talented people. It's just they blew up in a different way.
Well, one of the things I learned, which
is everything that I'm saying making sense so far, because my brain
I don't know,
is
we're going to see on
all
playback.
over the place.
No, it is, and we're winding down soon, so you won't have to be suffering anymore.
I'm having a blast.
So one of the things that I've constantly had to say to a lot of I don't want to say older, but more seasoned comics, been doing it 10, 20 years, is stop looking at those TikTokers, because I've seen what their turnout audience is. I go to VidCon every year.
Turnout audience as in like people that buy tickets and show up.
Yes. So I went to VidCon last year, and they had a panel in the main room, the biggest YouTubers, 6 of them. So we're taking 6 audiences now. You could have had any seat you wanted. The place was fucking empty. And that's because their following does not leave the house. They watch you on YouTube. So,
that's so true.
This person is getting, maybe a club that wouldn't book you is booking this person because they have 8 million followers.
Well, let me ask you this. This is an interesting discussion. Do you think that we're just going to like see a decline of people going and actually watching live comedy, and just because people can get whatever clips they want on TikTok?
I think it's going to be the opposite. I think we're right now hitting a recession where people aren't going to have the money to see live comedy, but I also think people are going to be so depressed that the one thing they're going to want to do is laugh. And I think until we get into a good place where you can see it through the $4,000 Apple Vision glasses that nobody can afford, where you can be at home and feel like you're in the comedy club, I don't think that's going to be a concern. Good. I do think that there will be a decline until comedy clubs become more affordable. Like you're paying parking $20, ticket $25 each. So that's if you're paying for 2 people, that's $50. You have to buy 2 drinks per person. This is a $200 night. Yeah, that's not livable in LA. It's not livable
to go out
in New York.
Often. That's like a special. That's like a birthday night.
Which is why it's going to pay off for places like the store that are really tourist traps, and you're like, okay, if they're able to bring in an international audience and a lot of tourists, that cycle will keep going. Those people will still be traveling. They're already spending the money. That's not a big loss for them.
They're already going to be there.
For places that are LA locals, there will be a decline for a little bit, but I think comics posting their stuff online, no doubt, is going to help them. They just have to be more concerned with posting good stuff and stop posting their full sets that have garbage material in there. Some people are just like, I'm posting my full 7 minutes.
They're posting just to posting.
Just post 3 minutes of good stuff.
Right.
And let people either pay for the rest or decide that they want to look for more. All right, we're winding down. If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
Oh my gosh, my teeth.
Oh my God, that was such a quick question. The reason that's funny is because before we started, you were like, does my neck match my
A genuine concern of mine, because I always miss my neck.
No, I need to hear what's wrong with your teeth, because they look perfect.
Oh, because I just finished Invisalign. But they're still, if you look closely, they're a little janky.
My teeth are the worst. I can't smile in photos.
I've just always been really self-conscious about my teeth. Maybe I got made fun of when I was younger. But that's not a good answer. That's not a good answer. What's something that I could change about myself?
I mean, it's the first one that's the most serious.
Well, that's because I just got Invisalign off, so it's fresh. And I was like, what are these? These aren't perfect.
Look at these guys.
I thought Invisalign promised perfect. Probably getting rid of my obsessive compulsive disorder would be a lovely little break. Lovely little vacation from the brain. Otherwise, I'm perfect.
Is the OCD really debilitating for you?
I've just had it for a really long time. It used to be a lot worse when I was younger. Now it's kind of manageable because I've learned so much about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, OCD sucks, man.
All right. That's a fair answer.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for being here. Let's see where we got. I mean, this is pretty impressive. You built the whole wall already. I mean, this I could push in a little bit more.
I don't know what this is. I
You're
think this is
building-
maybe the match, the cage.
Yeah, it's the side of it.
I feel pretty good about this.
Yeah, I'm sure you're gonna get home
really
and
genuinely
finish it.
didn't think that I was going to finish any of it. So I feel good about my little guys here.
I'm pretty impressed with the fact that you built 2 walls.
Yay! Yours is pretty good too. Yours was
We're getting
way
there.
more intricate. A
Yeah.
chessboard?
You got a chessboard. I don't know what any of these references are. Like, I assume these snakes mean
how do you know
something.
Harry Potter?
But yeah, we're building this. We're going to do this throughout a few episodes. I think we're in good shape. Where can people find you?
At Rachel Bonnetta, 2 N's, 2 T's on every single platform. And you can come to my show every single first Saturday of the month at WESTSIDE Comedy Theater in Santa Monica.
First Saturday of the month.
First
Go see
Saturday
it.
of the month.
It's going to be a fun show.
I'm so excited. It's going to be great.
Congrats. That's a great show to host.
Thanks, bud. And thanks for having me on your
Thanks
show.
for doing this.
That's great.
You can follow me at Say It Ain't Sosis. Follow us at Building Friendship Series. And we will see you next time.
Friendship built.
Yeah.